Hello everyone, welcome to DMVII Live for September 23rd, 2017. This week's recording was done using built-in PC microphone, so I apologize for the quality of the stream. Keep in mind, stocks and strategies discussed here are for information only. Do not treat any information provided here as investment advice or recommendation. It is up to the individual investor to perform due diligence prior to investing in any company. And here are the symbols covered this week. Feel free to pause the video and look up the symbols to learn more about the underlying businesses.
My favorite is Fidelity, but Schwab does well in other websites where you can get day-by-day news of the company. And always check that.
And steel is a commodity, and it's also subject to a lot of political play. I personally would never own steel.
Okay, is that it for you, Katie?
There's one piece of news. Analyst at Cowen, I don't know what Cowen is.
That's a big broker. That's a broker.
Quoting from John Barish on X. This is the news of yesterday. Under the assumption that hot rolled oil steel prices are set to move lower, the firm downgraded stock rating from market perform to underperform, and blah blah blah. So expectations of prices of steel like that. The reason why we should get into later on, but it was downgrade. Official reported downgrade. People read the downgrade and say, okay, on the sell X. So once we get an opportunity to buy,
Okay, is that it for you, Katie?
Well, there was one more stock that I bought. It was a recent IPO. The ticker is DMVII. And it's AI.
GDRI, is that right?
Victor Edward Victor.
Give us that again, Victor.
Edward Richard Media.
Okay. Yeah, you might join the military there.
So that was yeah.
I've never heard of this one, so. Wow, now there. Now what do you think of that? See, now, but, we'll say, you can look at here, it says low volume, very quiet, and volume stuff, the price, moves higher. See, that,
They're not priced just right.
Right. So I got it. Yeah, I got it 54. So I mean,
That's another thing I never do is buy a stock that looks like this because it's already gone.
right.
You want to buy it down here.
well, of course, you would want to buy it where it's down here, but there's no activity there. I guess you would say, oh, up here, that's where I want to buy
So
it.
who would dare to buy it at that price when it's that low? So it all goes from 10 to 55. You wonder. That is generally speaking true, but also there's a few.
yeah,
very
there's an
solid.
IPO. It's an IPO. It's a very young. It's been trading only 6 months.
A lot of scared at that low price, but well established theory that says buy stocks that are going up. You could always debate how high they are and how high they should be, but there are a bunch of people who actually do nothing but look at the stocks that have gone up a lot because they think that's when it's going to continue to go up. It could go down. So it's just that kind of a theory. It's not always wrong to buy the stock that has gone up. I know, I like to buy a stock that's going up, but not when it's up 550% in a short time.
Yeah, that's up a lot. But
I want to know what's going on.
well, it received an artificial intelligence award, and I think there's a lot of potential in AI. So I don't maybe potentially it could be another Amazon, or Apple or
I've never heard of this one. So how did you come upon this?
Well, I have a base that is letting us about it.
There are all ways of finding.
Is there a specific field of AI that it's focusing on, or is just general?
Let me we have a little bit
Because
more information.
my opinion about AI is that it's going to be treated as a commodity. Every single company out there will have to use a component of AI. So depending on whether or not you're using the AI on the medical field or on the engineering field, on whatever field, that's going to determine how successful it will be, right? The certain industry really is very inefficient due to the human factor. If you can automate that part, it's going to have significant boost to their revenue. Right?
The AI kind of reminds me of 3D printing a few years ago. Remember that? How everybody was going on about 3D printing. You never hear about it anymore. I guess 3D printing still exists, but it's no longer a fad. I suspect something like that may happen with artificial intelligence.
I will say this chart does tell me a little bit, how the volume on higher prices moved up on volume and then got quiet. And then moved up again on volume. Now, what do you think? I mean, the volume sure was perked up a lot on these games. So, there's a lot of opinions in motion about this. Just because the volume is so steep.
Yeah, buy at the top mentality, because like I said, everything was on leading that.
I don't know, or is that, it could be it's gonna go up even a little. I mean, who knows?
Like we said last week, some people, buy low, sell high, some people buy high, sell high.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, everybody's gotta know themselves. What's wrong with it is if it's not your nature. See, that's very important. I always like to say this. If you don't know who you are, the stock market is a very expensive place to find out. If you think you're one and then you switch to another, that's when you're really taking a loss. You've got to know yourself. And it's very important. Okay, is that it for you, Katie?
That is it for me.
Next, gentleman next to you.
The stock that I bought maybe 3 weeks ago, and then I bought it again because mining company, they mined gold, called Quandex. I found it maybe only like a month and a half ago, trading a little below $3 a share, and then when I decided to buy it, it picked up to 3. Now it's at like 360. So that's I actually decided to buy it again on Thursday at a little below this increase that over
What's the ticker symbol?
KLBX.
Thank you.
And the other thing I've been doing is
Well, that's right, from KLPS.
DX, KLBX.
David.
KLDX?
Yes.
I think part of the reason it's been going up so much in the last few weeks is mostly because of the
Yeah.
news with North Korea, regular stocks
Oh.
have gone down, and people are flocking
See, now there,
commodities.
again, you have very low,
Yeah.
very, very low volume. Now it's there. That's come by.
Oh yeah, it's KLB, not ALB. Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is something else.
That's
All right, see, now that's a little more normal. I think if your perspective on these things. See, now that has no yield. How did you come upon it? And,
He was looking at 13F filings for a couple hedge funds that I like to see if they hold up in the long term.
okay.
And then the other thing I've been doing is a lot of Chinese companies are starting to dip right now, like I think mostly because of news and anytime we're threatening sanctions or anything like that, which almost certainly not going to happen. I just feel like the market gets really emotional and people unload their shares, and there are some Chinese companies kind of believing for the long term and they're trading quite low right now. People are selling. So I sold some of my dead money stocks that I took. They hadn't moved in months, and bought some of these other Chinese companies. And I actually own Chinese ETF as well. I like ETFs.
Can you name one of those companies?
Oh, yeah, I mean, 10 cent was down the other day. I own that. I own a lot of baking.com. I actually bought baking years ago, and then there's a company, Momo, that went from $16 to about $40 this year. And it just got absolutely killed in their last earnings call. They dropped to like 32, so I bought it.
Okay, that's Momo,
Yeah. They've more than
it's an
doubled.
interesting name.
Yeah. But the ETF that I bought is, the ticker is KWEB, and I've only had it for about a month, and it's gone up 10 points since I bought it.
KWEB.
B, Brian. Chinese internet companies mostly. Yeah, that's it, brain share. I bought it at $47. It's like 58, 59 now.
I've never heard of that sponsor of ETFs, Crane.
I've never heard of them either. Most of the ETFs that I've bought are from Guggenheim or from Power Shares. I don't know who Crane Shares is, but
Yeah, and that's an interesting wrinkle, is, different sponsor, I don't know how they operate and all that. Looks like the volume seems to be fairly significant and all that.
How do you feel about the Chinese government, and sometimes they can be a little bit, kind of dinosaur companies through the end
That's what I've been nervous about, because some of these companies, obviously, especially in China, they have different rules over there. A lot of those companies end up sometimes not even being real.
Yeah, the financial understanding.
With companies like JD or Tencent, they're so massive, I don't think there's anything fishy going on. Momo, I think, was a little bit of a risk, but I was willing to throw some money at it, just based on its growth. But they're kind of vague in what they actually do and with the numbers they report, how they report them, which could be why it got absolutely smacked in the last earnings call. It dropped 20% in one day. It doesn't have excited to buy in. I just don't think it's a buying point.
What do you thought? That Momo?
That was
So you want to bring up Momo again, that was dropped 20%?
in one day, about a month ago.
Okay, see, now that was what I thought was his gap in my bond. Those are pretty rare, I think, in the big states. I mean, the whole trading day, one day, and that's trading day. And that's why, that was completely new information, nobody had any idea. Unless it's a dividend.
Yeah. I actually have one other question. Does anybody else follow like biotech stocks?
Deer was not really sure, but,
Closing question, something that's what we do, yeah.
There's a company, the ticker is SYM, Synthetic Biologics, and they're actually headquartered in Rockville, which is not too far away. And they're basically a penny stock, and I bought their stock, and it was like 90 cents. I bought it at 88 cents, and now it just broke a buck the other day, which I feel is good news, but I've been I don't know a whole lot about this space, and I felt like it was really risky buying in the first place, because I did it anyway.
Yeah, it's always, because I'm kind of in bio tech as well, but some of them are not therapy. So they do cancer, treatment. So immunotherapy. And they have to kind of involve
LBA.
So, I mean, lately I've been kind of looking at stocks that have a lot of volatility and big and extremely a lot of volatility every day. But just trying to build up my capital right now. But they do have long-term potential. So it's good to just kind of get in and keep watching.
That's sort of,
So I try to.
you like to live on the wild side.
I like to invest in those type of things. And there's another one called Ritter. That's my main baby. Ritter is also in Thompson. They are investing. They are looking at lactose intolerance and natural ways. Natural ways to modify the gut microbiome and then deal with lactose intolerance affects a good deal of the world, you know. So they've actually had some success in recruitment, and they're going into like phase 3 studies soon. So I'm kind of looking at them for the long haul, and I think right now they around 40 to 49 cents. They, for the longest time, the price was around about between like 55 and 60, and on occasion it was from 55 to 52. But I mean, a year ago, I think around $3 you know, but with these particular types of stocks, they're always fluctuate like that, especially at the beginning. So you kind of have to just make sure you have enough gut for it to tolerate the movement. But I see a lot of businesses working in the long haul because lactose intolerance is affects the population. I'm lactose intolerant, so and because it's had good results recently in their studies, I was like, well, okay, maybe it's not going to work well in the so that's kind of what I've been playing around with.
Yeah, I don't do that much pharmaceutical companies or biotech, but what I learned from the Nazar is that he picks the companies that has very a high likelihood of getting approval from the FDA, and then he just bet on all of them, because then you have 50-50 chance or a little bit above 50% chance of achieving the positive result, and then dump them once they're profitable. So if you get one that gets like 400% return and get a few that's losing some money, then it's okay. So it's essentially you're betting on the expected value, if you will. So I don't think you hold them for that long, because they generally taper out once they get certain drugs approval and the price gets reflected, and then they'll have to come up with something new to get in the next level of boost. Yeah.
Okay, is that it, Brian?
Have you also considered the safety regarding China making Matthews stuff?
Now,
Matthews is an American mutual fund group, and so there might be a little bit more safety than they go into India, they'll go into China, they'll go into Indonesia. So you might want to look up on Matthews. Matthews fund.
more of a emerging market kind of fund.
So they ETF. They're mutual funds.
Well, active one. I like the Matthews Pacific Tiger Fund, NAPTX.
I mean, it'd be a little safety if you're in China, I mean, you never know, but they're an American outfit that's gone to China.
They do have one Chinese mutual fund that works with Spain stock, so I want to.
And Matthews is supposed to be the expert in Asia, South Asia, East Asia. That's at least it was.
Okay, I think we're back to you, Michael.
If you're gonna put Apple up there, really long company Apple. I failed to load my short call a couple of weeks ago, and I was assigned this thing at 160 close to it. So I really felt bad for a couple of weeks, but this week I've been feeling real smart. So I've covered half of the position on Apple that I was short. Fortunately, I've got time. Anybody has any opinion so I've covered half. Anybody has any opinion on where I might be going in the coming days?
Yes, Apple certainly devices that are extra expensive. And, there are rumors that
First you had rumors that they were gonna sell good, and then you started rumors that they didn't sell as good as people expected them to, and so it's these rumors that are working their stock market. So what do you think is gonna happen with Apple? I look at that chart and I see a gap down. In fact, I see 3 gaps down. You think it could go down a little more? There's likely to be an uptick, but I wouldn't buy it.
I'm stuck, I'm short, so I.
Oh, you're short?
Yeah,
Hold it.
because I got a sign at 160.
I hold it. Hold that short. Yeah.
I think it's,
All right, so I think the product cycle associated with the price, right? So they come up with a big rollout, like this one now, and people start selling on that. And there's usually news about, oh, the watch doesn't work exactly like advertised. It was with the iPhone 6 that it was hold the hold, you know, and there was a drop in the price. It was noise in the end. Longer term, for those longer term thinking people, Apple will probably hit the upper 100s, 180, 190 eventually. Now, for the short term, I think there's downward pressure. People talk about going to 145, 142 perhaps. I'll go with that. But there's some pressure from Samsung for sure. Others getting to the space. But there's some softness here that might maybe some of the profits. But that's
Okay.
the risk that you take to it.
very good, go ahead.
You'd like to see it by putting a good substantial order, then buy that short back at about 143. Just put it in there where it's at.
Yeah, there are lots of opinions, looks like 3 people who have spoken so far, they all think it's gonna go down. So, that's where we are with Apple. But anyway,
Before we leave Apple, I will give you a tip of somebody who's really kind of expert.
Oh, I like
on
tips,
Apple.
yeah.
There's a guy he calls himself XL Fruitcake on the DAK message board. You know? It's really an unusual site. And I think you can get in as a guest on these things. But guy, he knows the Apple ecosystem and all that. Like, I don't know where this guy gets his. He was an old IT guy at IBM. I ran some programs. It's an Asian guy, and he's got it. His English is not his basic language, but the guy really knows technology, and he seems to have that Apple concept down pat, down cold. And if you're an Apple fan, I would say try and check out what he's thinking.
I'll check out the extra fruitcake, yeah.
Yeah.
And is that on the radio or what, or on the internet?
Probably radio.
Yeah, thanks, I will look into that.
Yeah, I read something this morning too that said Apple historically does bad in September.
Yeah, September or after the product announcement, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that's for Apple. I always come into a little bit of money from a business transaction, and I need to hang on to it for a while. So I've done a lot of things in the past. Last week, I also came into the money that I want to park someplace for 3 months, maybe a year. So I bought EXG. So this is not for, Apple or Facebook that's going to hit the sky, but it's just to park money and earn something. EXG. See? Echo, X-ray. EXG.
Okay, that's a closed in fund.
Yeah, and
You're wandering in my territory there.
yeah, simple little thing that I was saying, why do I need to invest with anything if this thing stays and continues to do what it has been doing? I have no idea.
No, only 5% yield. That's not that rich for these closed in funds.
But hey, but remember, my objective is just hang on to it and just monthly dividend until I need the money in and do something else with it. So EFC, half the money that I have, I bought EFC. Other half, I bought PGX with the same objective.
PGX, is that it?
PGX. Papa.
That it?
GGX. Well, you have it. So half each, just to earn dividend while the money is parked. Just something that I'm sure not long term, but perhaps that I need to put the money away.
So Mike, I would ask you, what are the costs getting in and out of that fund, so.
Practically nothing.
So I go to my brokerage on Monday, and I say, I'm shift that, pay the brokerage fee.
But,
But management fees, the management fees involved.
they all have matches.
Yeah.
1%, so, but it's just like taxes don't keep me from buying or selling anything. The management fee doesn't keep me from buying anything, especially if I'm looking at money park or something every
I
time.
was just simply look at the 6% yield, but I would subtract the 1% management fee. So it would be a
So, anyway, those are the two things that I did, the parking money and, play this week with Apple. And that's all I did. I'm done.
Sorry, guys, did you say that net of management fees?
Yeah, the
Oh,
yield,
I
is
see.
yeah, it's net.
Oh, it is, it says, it includes the, yeah, fees and crap. Okay.
Okay, Hector, you're next.
Yeah, I wish Nazir was here, the biotech, because I violated my own rule, last week. I bought, Anna's and Nancy, Ella's and Love, Anna's and Nancy, as an extra. And, idleness is the source of all evil, and I was idle for a little bit, so I looked at the screen, I saw, now next, going up, and analyst says, more room to go.
What was the symbol?
You have
Nancy,
it. You have it.
Nancy X-ray?
No, you have it right here, on the board, exactly.
Well, that didn't bring anything up though. Didn't type that in.
Start it again. It's millions of shares, and,
What's the company's name?
New Link. Yeah. And, what? So, no, it's great, millions of shares. It's treating cancer, advanced melanoma, and it showed positive results, just like you were saying before. The company showed positive results. The stock went from $8 to $18 in about 2 days. And analyst says there's more room to go, and a projected price of 26. So I looked at that, and I do options. So I said, okay, looking at $18, okay, I'll buy, which was against my principles. We don't buy things that are not that much in one day. What was happening is short sellers were getting caught. Those people were trading against the stock. They were getting caught, and then they bought out their positions, trying to fuck up. But because with such volatility, the price of the options, the call options, was quite high. So I would buy at 18, but sell, let's say an 17 call, even into the money, with about $3 in it. So then my break even would be 15. So 18 minus the price that I get. Because I knew it was not going to go much higher in the next few days, but over the long term, more. But no, it's if you can see the chart, it subsequently has dropped painfully to about 11 and 10 cents, 11 So it went from $18, I was on Friday, down to 11.
What's the name of the company?
Newlink, N-E-W.
New Link Genetics Corp.
Yeah. So I emailed Nazir about his opinion.
N-E-W what?
L-I-N-K.
N-E-W-L-I-N-K, Newlink.
L-I what?
N-K.
New link,
Is that correct, the way I got it?
Is that how it's new link?
Yep.
Yeah, I think about you.
And then Space Genetics.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
Symbol's wrong, and so's the word.
Here it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay. N-L-N-K.
Okay, yeah.
There you go.
That was.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, you had an X, I don't know why.
Right.
Okay.
For X-ray. But
Did I actually end?
again, this though, I
Oh,
will
I'm so
say
sorry,
no.
N-L-I-N-K.
There is a note that people can get confused by the symbols and,
Right, so here you
mistakes
have it.
happen, and that's
My
sometimes that's a gold
apologies.
line or something.
So there you go, see that rise from 8 to 18 is down.
There are no friends out there.
That's what's called a roller coaster ride. That's what's called a roller coaster ride. And now, so I'm asking what's the catalyst to get it back up, right? So they also have pancreatic solutions, and so they might come out the testing later this year. So, and then let's say December, and there might be some results coming out of that. So, I'm using hope as a strategy. And,
That's
what we all. The website, I might, there's going to be a lot of resistance going out to 18. There's a lot of people by 18 sell out.
Yeah, see, look at, hardly any volume in view fine.
Might be a good time to buy it now, though.
18. Right, by
Over
the
here
top.
wasn't that big volume.
By my sold out. Yeah.
There's a little bit here, not much. Going
So-
over here, there's a big volume.
So, no. So if you want to get into that, you might say it's a bargain. People think it's going to go 26, right? So that's one thing. The other name Nazir came up, Gary told us by email. And I hope you get this symbol right. V as in Victor, S-A-R. Here's another roller coaster ride for you by a big.
Right, by the way, I did, Nazir sent out another follow-up saying he's getting out of it. This, by the way.
Wait a minute, what? Look at that drop from
He
22 to 2.
He said,
Oh my God.
the follow-on his deal was that he thought the FDA, he thought the product was good, the drug and thought was good. But the problem was the FDA has said they weren't happy with their testing and they're gonna delay things. And he, Nazir felt, well, as I think about it, there's a risk that their competitors will come in while they're delaying their test, even though it's a good drug. So he sold out after he took a small loss on it after we rethought it. These things are very complex and it's very important to know yourself.
Okay.
Well, is it me on?
It's a good point. I'm glad because I couldn't remember what symbol. I mean, they're all confusing me.
Yeah.
It says it's down 87%.
Yeah, it went from
Right,
20
that's
to 2.
Went from 22
Oh my
to
God.
2.
Wow.
Right.
A lot of G's on that one. Not a lot of unfortunate.
My volume,
But Tanzir said it's really worth 3 times the 2,000%.
Right.
Here's my question. How is the FDA not involved with insider trading? Do they know these reports are coming out? You could bet that.
Yeah, I have friends that work there.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to do
They're not
trade.
allowed to
They're not allowed to
trade.
trade, nor are they allowed to disclose any information they get their hands on.
That's what you're getting in
Yeah,
by
yeah.
it. Yeah.
We know how good the
Yeah.
idea is.
you have, just know yourself and say, all right, I'm getting in there, or you do that, and you don't know.
That's right. And all that stuff is very good because I violated the rule of buying, chasing the stock.
Everybody makes those moves.
Yeah. I've been telling you the last couple of weeks I have a small account with this other brokerage firm that kind of tests little options. Really, she's running good stuff, reading my options. And I don't buy out that much in different calls. I sell, right? Because fear is overpriced. So, this particular account is a small account, but I've been making over 40% since March. Right? So, small account. And I have some 21 positions in lots of this because it's essentially taking no more than 3 contracts. Well, I'll sell a spread, like so. For Amazon, for instance, last 2 days, they're getting done. So I will sell some premium on puts. Sell that premium on Amazon. Just write it down and hoping at about 9.25. I sold some premium at 9.25. And now it's about 9.60 or so. So the bet is that it will not go down to 9.25. I'll go. Normally what I'll do is I'll sell the spread such that I'll get 10% of the money. So if it's a 1 point spread, so 100 points, $100, I'll look to get $10 out of that spread over a period of about 40, 45 days. Right. So annualized, it's like 100% a year. When it comes to the losses, right. So normally you take Amazon, that's 500 points straight actually. And then, wait, no, it's about this way. So you'll take 45 days out from today's late October, and then you sell some spread on that with about a tenth of the spread, and annualizes So, still working, perhaps because the market has been pretty stable enough. I do take some bearish positions like TNA. Yes, and I'll sell calls on TNA, which is TNC, and that's a 3 times bull on the Russell 2000. So the Russell 2000 IWM goes up a percentage. Right. So I'll sell calls against it, which is a bearish position. In September, the market's supposed to be on the downside, right? September, that's how we're supposed to be on that. So we can take comparisons.
That's like, wow, you're really amping things up.
Right. So you sell calls on this, taking a bearish position. Now IWM has been coming up last week, actually, catching up to this. But I put a high enough position that we will not, hoping that won't reach above 60. So that's the way I'll talk about it later.
So is that it then for you, Hector?
Yeah.
Rick, yeah.
I have a sell and buy to purchase. I sold Aries Capital, ARCC. It's kind of been in a coma. I've lost money on it. Although technically,
But this is the wild card. I mean, that BP yield, the chart was terrible, but we're getting that BP yield.
yeah, I was about to say, counting the dividends, which including one just was finalized, equivalent dividends. The record date was early this week, last week. Anyway, counting the dividends, I probably even I don't do that. Okay, that's my sell. I bought back into the gold miners ETF, GTX.
Ringo David X-ray on
I take my cue from.
Now you do get a low yield here.
Yeah, that's not what. As Bo says, gold is not an investment; it's insurance. It's insurance against a market in shock. Gallop in the field. And I think that could happen one of these days.
How long are you going to keep it? What's your price target?
I have no price.
No, because it's 24 tomorrow, if you don't sell it. You think we're going to get out of it? Warren would hang on to it until that was my point, until one. It's ballpark. I mean, I do the same thing, but I just never know. It's info on my part. Whenever I have
I really don't have it.
So you just sit down.
It's when you buy an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Do you have a date when the event is caught that you're insuring against?
But that's what the difference is.
Life insurance. I think by next year I'll just die, cash out.
One thing I will add, because this is the gold miner. It's not gold, material. It's the miners, which it has a little bit of an advantage in the gold world in that the authorities, the government, they don't like people holding the metal itself. But gold miners provide jobs for people. So, people can play it and all that, it's fine. So the text is not quite as nasty, it's more complex with gold miners. It's more like a regular stock. So, I mean, that's got a small upside is the authorities are more friendly towards those, to actual precious metals.
That was something out there in that chart, very fascinating. Look at the last 3 levels, right at 21. That's like it bounces out of that 21. I've been using the nugget, the NUGT, which is 3 times this.
3 times this. Yeah.
NUGT, and to good success. I've not lost a penny in a year. Where I actually sell. And to your question, Mike, about when do I sell, but I don't worry about that because I sell puts. I'll sell, for instance, using NUGT, but the equivalent here would be selling 21 puts. And looking at that chart, looks like I have a good percentage possibility, 75% that it will not go below 21. So I'll sell for around 3 and just sit back and wait rather than worrying about when am I going to get out. So that's not to say here, well, that's anybody's guess what's going to touch 21 again. But like you see that gold had a run up. GLD had a run up as well. And now it's time to sit back a little bit, taking a pause, taking another leg up, you know. But I'd like to get it a little lower than that.
So I've been in and out 2-3 times between 1-2 and 1-4. Absolutely. So I was just wondering if somebody had a more rational strategy than between 22 and 24 for months now.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know people just trade gold only and not no stocks at all. And basically, they try to mostly technical analysis. You can't look at the balance sheet because there isn't any. So you just look at 20-day moving average, 30-day moving average, and look at the relative strength and momentum and all that, and determine local minimum in simulation, right? And then I also noticed a lot of people selling, like what you say, selling puts, because if you assume the gold will always be of some tangible value, then just keep selling lower put. Even if you get it, just holding on to it, just keep selling more, right? But then the question I want to ask you is that, Hector, is that what percentage of return per amount of capital invested you're actually getting out of it, right? Because if you're getting like 10 cents for every, I don't know, $1 you're invested, then you get 10% a year for that duration of option, a premium, right? So what percentage?
I don't calculate it, but it's
Okay.
probably more than 10%. Nugget carries a nice premium, more volatile. So you probably much more premium for the amount that you put in there. So I'll do that for you next week.
Okay, yeah, because that would be good to know. Because if you're like, if it's safe, it's true. But if you're
but the
not
way I
getting,
will say this about that, you have to exercise patience. So I've been out of that particular strategy in the recent weeks because it's gone up so high. I'm not going to sell puts at this point. Maybe at this point, yeah, it's come down a little bit, but a week ago I wouldn't because it's too high. I know it's going to go down.
Yeah.
So they have to wait. I think they're pretty fast.
Yeah.
Lately, the price of gold is tending to find
The
the
Fed.
relationship between the United States and North Korea. It looks like we're going to get into a war of gold through summer. And when that screaming goes back and dies down a little bit, and then the price of gold goes down a little bit.
I have another influence to that is that check the dollar, the price of the dollar. And so
Sometimes gold moves like inversely as the dollar, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, the dollar has lost about 20% of the dollar versus the euro, so that can happen a little bit. But that's not completely different.
Okay, is that it for you, Rick?
Well, just to clarify my strategy, I am not looking on this as a way to make a lot of money. It's something I want to have when everybody's running to the parent group. Has anyone heard from Bo recently?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, good.
Good. I got it right here.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Okay, and gentleman next to you there?
Hello. I'm new to this meeting.
Well, I mean, yeah, just, we generally say what we did last week or planning to do next week, or just here to learn, or whatever.
Okay. Alright, I'm here to learn, but I'm here to expand my knowledge on like the gold market.
That's what we want.
And right now, what I did this week, I made one trade, well, not an option trade. That was with Google.
I guess there are two.
Yeah.
Just the plain old Google or the?
Plain old GOG.
Okay.
I noticed it reached a point of support and it bounced, I think on Tuesday. So I brought it, I normally buy like weekly contracts. So I brought it I saw it at 920. I bought a call option for 922. The next day it went up to 932 and I sold it that day.
Which week?
Oh, for this week, sorry. That was
Friday. Short term. Wow.
Yeah. So I said,
That's very
I
I don't want to say gambling.
and it's also on news too as well.
I
Like
don't want to say gambling or anything.
Equifax, like the flip. Yeah, that's what
Oh, did you trade on Equifax?
yeah. When it went down, what they 10% that day?
It went down on total about 34 or 35% since the news. Or
Yeah, but
2 weeks ago on a Friday, that's when they announced it.
Yeah, it was one, but it went back up though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it bounced
yeah.
back up. I actually bought them on Strike 90 calls. I bought like 3 of them. I own 300 shares now.
Wow. I don't really buy and sell the options.
Just knowing yourself, what you're comfortable with, and that's what we wanna know, what you're thinking, whether that's true or not, who knows?
You said you're starting out with
Options?
So that's the first thing. Okay.
No, because it forces you to to not hold on with stocks. I have the tendency to hold on for too long. So options forces me to
Take
sell,
action.
as soon as I make my profit. So that's why.
Warren Buffett has no trouble holding on. He's worth $80 billion.
Yeah, but he's smart. With the Bitcoin, he brought it really low, like $7, and the Warren contract just came out. I was like, wow, that's a good profit.
So is that it for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Don, you?
Didn't know anything, just got back from Panama with the airline from hell.
Oh.
That's to and from
What airline was that? We can afford
American
that.
Airlines.
What?
Yeah, they are the worst.
We got our luggage 3 days after we returned home.
Wow.
All right.
So how's the American airline doing?
They're in bankruptcy.
Well, they should be. All right, so is that it then?
Yeah.
John, you're next.
Okay, Dan, you mentioned doing biotech, so I want to look at XOM. XOM, we talked about it before, Nazareth. There's a guy named Kurt Randolph, and XOM is sort of like a mutual fund. This guy comes together and brings various companies in the biotech. And I think it's trading about $19 or something now, but probably it's best to pick it up around 15 if it's there. This would be a long-term deal.
No yield there.
He's done well in this sector. He made a killing back in the 90s on New River Pharmacy. He's not a scientist, but he's just seems that he's a manager where he's able to reach out to various companies and do fairly well in the biotech sector. So this is sort of, I would say, a mutual fund. Even it's a stock, it's a long term. I got back into STM. I mentioned it to you guys. I think that teaser from Paul Manafort. It's up to 19. I was unfortunately in it at 14.5, 15.5. Got scared when it came down.
STM, was it Sally Peter Mary?
Yes,
Sally
STM.
Peter Mary.
And it's breaking out. I got in about $19 there. I didn't pick up as many shares. I had a lot of shares, about 14.5. This is part of that SIMS technology. And again, it was a teaser by this guy. He has a newsletter. He had his clients in at 6. It's sort of like that Orbitex sector we talked about, Orbitex. So I don't know, guys. You might want to just throw a little in there and roll the dice. Maybe it's going to do well. It does pay a dividend.
1% yield.
24% dividend.
I mean, that's ADRs have a little tax.
Sam mentioned it like back in the early 90s, or late 90s, part of dot-com boom and busted. So they've been around. It's been as high as $70-some. But
it's a lot of volume on that, over 2 million shares.
well, he's on. This is Manafort as a newsletter. He's always on Google, and they're pushing this to calling this stock of the century.
So I would say, because of that volume, you probably have some options that you can write against it if you want to mitigate some of the risk.
Yeah.
And call options if you want to.
But anyway, pick up some shares of that.
STM?
STM. I've mentioned it to you
Mary
guys
and
many
Mary.
times.
Mary.
Sam, Tom, Mike.
Mary.
So, anyway, that's just an idea out there. And finally, getting to Noel's favorite subject, cryptocurrency. I really think he's onto something here. The State Department now starting to have forums on the cryptocurrency. I listened to a forum, we did it by video about a week and a half ago. We had a guy in. There's a forum on the 10th of October I'm going to go to. The deal on this is it's peer-to-peer payments. Right now, when I have to make a payment, it's scheduled for like October 15th. The payment right now is about $960,000. But because of the exchange rate, possibility of fluctuation, I have to put a cushion of $30,000. Peer-to-peer would mean I put my $960,000 that day, it's paid. That's where it's going with this cryptocurrency. The State Department's getting involved in this, and apparently we've already done this with Syrian refugees. That field is something to look at. It's here. And I don't know how we make money on it. Maybe his idea of this OEE he mentioned, or that OES, it's going to do a dividend. I hope he gets back to us on that. That might be a conservative way to get into it. There is a site out there called Coinbase. Basically, they only trade 3 types of currencies on there. But what they do is you basically sign up on the Coinbase site. It's a bank with cryptocurrency, I would say, in layman terms. You hook it up to your bank account, and they will draw down, I think it's like 4,000 or 5,000 at the most, and put it into one of these type of cryptocurrencies. It holds it there for you. So in a way, you could go in, and if you needed to make a payment out of Coinbase, it would be another bank, but with cryptocurrency. I strongly recommend that people start researching this, because it was shocking.
Let's talk about in the context of competition to Bitcoin, like Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies, because there is competition to pay.
The term they talk about is blockchain. And blockchain is the method for doing the payment. It's different with Coinbase and Ethereum and what
you said, maybe get the fund.
But the concept, we are going that way, peer to peer.
No middleman.
You know, we're going to be doing that. So, again, he really, when he's here, you guys should really tap his knowledge, and maybe he'll do a seminar on it. But I think there's a great opportunity that the way we do transactions will be with this blockchain in the next, I mean, a lot of us might not be around 25 years from now, but quantum will be here in 25 years. And it's the future. It blew me away that the State Department got that involved in it.
Right now, well, what's the state doing? They're saying, well, use Bitcoin, or they're saying
no? It's they're. I don't know what they used to do this issue with the Syrian refugees, but it was a method to get them resources quickly so they could get clothes or food.
To buy it.
To buy it. They would just take the device and put it in, and they got their resources. So, I don't know if you want to say what credit card they gave them. Here, I got this voucher, give you food and shelter with it. But that's what they did. And they're exploring it more. It's at the secretary's level. So the people that are doing these conferences.
So this is Tillerson is giving the okay.
Well, it's his office. Maybe not him specifically, but it's out of S. And so we'll see what happens with this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the news.
I mean, it blew me away that they did this.
I classify as insider information.
No, it's just an idea. The company, the guy that came on board, I think one guy was with Booz Allen, and the other guy was Syncom. I couldn't find him and not publicly traded. I mean, they had him on the video. He's out there in California at 6 in the morning talking to us. So you can imagine he was a little out of it. But I think it's, I think it's coming.
Well, recently I heard about China cracking down on the Bitcoin exchanges, which
They brought that up.
significantly. So I guess if you're going to get into it,
Well,
now might be a good time.
they brought that came up because again, somebody asked him, China's doing this, he said, well, that's just the bump in the road. They're talking about blockchain. They don't use the term Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that. It's blockchain. Right? So that's what it's going to come down to. And the guy was saying, like when Noel mentioned there was a fork done with Bitcoin, the term, he said when a fork's done, it makes it more secure. They upgrade it when they do a fork. That's what this fellow from the company says. And they say I'm going to do a fork to a type of cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency that they come up with, or the fork they made, is a huge increase to security.
I think it's another comment of the estimable JP Diamond, JP Morgan, his poo-poo on Bitcoin. The counterpoint on that. I haven't studied.
Well, again, you're talking specific currencies. I'm talking about a concept, how they're going to use transactions, and I'm going to just use the term blockchain. Again, I'm not an expert on it. I wish he was here to know this about it, but it's the term blockchain. This blockchain is how they're going to do payments, how people are going to interact, how governments are going to interact.
The framework of the structure of the thing rather than the particular vehicle.
I don't know.
No, it's not regulatable.
The point
Yeah.
is, for the State Department to have forums on this and take it serious, and for them to actually have used it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
the other danger of this, again, is our good friend Mr. Putin is involved in this. And it's a nice way for him to get money out of Russia, that stole from the Russian people and whoever. But there is a danger in that part. But this blockchain, I think it's coming.
So is that it for you, John?
And last thing, this is a friend of mine, a good family friend, Blanca, has joined us for the first time. He's junior at George Mason University, and he's here to learn and try to become a concepts of analysis investor. And so I just want to introduce him, and hopefully he'll be coming more often.
So one of you want to say anything?
Well, I came here to learn more about investing, since it's going to be important for my future career, regardless of what I'm doing, whether I'm in the tech industry or the IT industry or the engineering industry. I have to be able to invest my money correctly.
Do a full-time student?
Yeah, I'm a full-time student.
so. What field are you currently studying?
I'm currently studying computer science.
Computer science. Okay. Do you notice any trend going on in the computer science field that can potentially be game changing in the next few years? Because I noticed like back then when I was in undergrad or even like high school, they were starting to use MATLAB. So the company that created them, of course, they started trading, and then of course they did very well out of this as well. So some of the technologies that the schools are adapting can be potentially translated to industry. So that's why I'm curious.
Yeah, and also AI is also becoming a hotter field within the computer science and software engineering industry.
Okay, is that it then, point one?
Yep.
Dan, you're next.
For a small amount of money now, warehouse.
Okay. I guess that's WY. So what you're thinking of?
So it's kind of late, so they got only three to work parties.
Modest, man, that's help, that's,
Yeah.
that's nice, nice of you.
It has to do with the gas the usage or frigging. So, these guys saw wood, and, other, like, Home Depot, those, they pop from the passions for suppliers. And, that's my thinking. They also, they're making some, synergies within the company. Some of them using investment funds and other, companies. So, I don't think it's going to be a huge game, but
That's what we want, that's what we think, I mean, who
No,
knows?
I had money sitting on the side. And that was it.
All right, fair enough. Next, I forgot your name, I'm not
Sanjay. My name is Sanjay.
Sanjay. Can we spell that for me?
S-A-N.
S-A-N.
J-A-Y.
Oh, Sanjay, okay, I gotta get.
J-A-Y. Y.
The
J-A-Y. There's a Y in the end,
no?
no? J.
Sanjay Gupta.
Yep.
I think I can get it.
You
All right,
are
Sanjay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I have only one code is called S for Sanjay and N for Nancy. And this has gone way down, but it was in balance topic and have a big article in that. So they gone through a bad phase and they won't come back. I know.
Yeah, that's gonna steady decline now, huh?
Yeah,
Only you,
it's energy, but in January of this year, they have allied with a bigger company. And that bigger company is now announced the point in some of the battles they lost in this whole
The catalyst would be that will get it off of its boat runs.
Yeah, but if you go back, you will see.
You would have thought that they would have already been potentially tried.
Yeah. It's like this thing, like I studied this one only, they have balance newspaper. So it may go another few points off, that's not where you are. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, that's the volume one.
Next gentleman there?
Yeah.
I don't have anything there.
Oh, Sam, okay.
He just came from the vacation.
And my eyes are bad too.
I already know it.
Okay.
Under Armour. The dog.
And the next lady there?
Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I own Under Armour and
oh, UA, okay.
we're all dogs.
You know, what you're thinking of that?
He wears it. I've owned it for a while.
Yes, yes.
I've owned this one at my time.
You know,
And also Trip.
Oh.
These are turnaround plates.
Oh,
Next 20 years
They just said Adidas surpassed Nike,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's very interesting.
Is that the one right there?
That's Trip, that's his.
That's Trip about.
Yeah.
That's my dog.
And
And if you look at a longer term chart though, it's a lot worse than that. You go longer term then.
So what got you into that anyway?
Probably the money cool. And plus, I like the app and so I've owned it for about less than a year.
Was that really influenced by the hurricane with the next level?
Oh, maybe recently, but it's been an announcement
for like 5 units.
Yeah, that's like that utility.
Yeah, this is the pipeline, the Trans-Canada Pipeline.
What's the ticker saying? TRIP. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that was TRIP.
Oh, you want DRIP?
Oh, no, again, we can make a mistake and that's it.
Okay, that's what that's it. That's more like upfront. That's more like
Your IP, you had it right, Gary.
Wait, P.
Gary, you had it right.
Oh. I'm lost.
TripAdvisor.
Don't count on me, I tell you.
Oh no, Gary's really good.
Vince, would you say
I would say it's in an uptrend now.
it is not? Okay. We'll see.
Okay.
About 1st of August, well, maybe
You
just
know yield.
first week in August, it looked, I would call it an uptrend.
Okay. I'm gonna hold on to it.
So is that it then for you, Sam? The lady next to you there. Yeah.
So I talked a little bit earlier about Iowa CD, not CDNA is another one that I've been playing around with. Here, CDNA, and the only reason why I got into it because it was kind of in my grasp.
We tried David Nancy Apple. Is that?
Yeah, that's it. We're in CDNA.
No yield.
So the only reason why I'm playing around with this one is biotech stuff, but again, I'm kind of into getting stuff that has enough volatility so I can just quickly get in and out and sort of build up my portfolio. So I'm where I'm at right now. And I had like 3 things, and it was, I think at the time it was like trading like $1 and 50 cents, somewhere in there. And so there was one day where it moved all the way up to like $3
There's
a
a
day.
volume spike here, interesting. So that's when you
Well, I can't really watch myself the way I want to, so I sell in and out constantly because the way that it's been working right now is to cut off my volatility. So I'm like, if I get like a 30-cent move or a 50-cent move, I'm happy because I made my goals instead. So you get caught up when you start getting greedy anyway. You wind up losing when you start getting greedy.
I mean, everybody's got their own way of thinking.
I don't actually agree with that.
Well, if you're not right there at the computer being able to
No, I just owned a lot of big time stocks early on, and I sold them, and I was up like 20%, and they went up like another, like I bought Google early, I bought Apple early, and I'm like, oh, and then it's just like in Facebook, I bought right away, and so some of these stocks you buy right away and you sell them, and then you're like kicking yourself in the ass that you didn't hold on to them. So I'm just saying that if you're happy that the stock is going up and it's like you have a vision that this is a good company, don't sell because sometimes you sell yourself short.
Right.
Just lesson learned from me in my trade.
I will add on this one, I just saw an observation from somebody saying, they had just noticed it as being an interesting stock. There's a closed-end fund that has a small position in this that has kind of an exotic perspective on investing in it. So I just saw that this week. Somebody mentioned that. I've never heard of this one before until you also confirmed it.
Do you know the
You know the name of that, Gary?
The closed-end stock that holds it, the firm is NHF. They're kind of exotic. Actually, I recommend that to you after saying for a long-term holder. This NHF, they've got some long-term strategies for really they're a really hefty yield pay. I mean, put everybody in shape. They pay a lot of dividends. So that may not be for.
So Gary, is that symbol? Can you put that symbol up?
I mean, you can check this out as a closed-end fund that you might even. Then you can bring up the NHF. That it shows that they're holding. They have a small position in the CBNA, and there. I mean, that's why this dividend is not right. They're not making. But they're paying a lot. And they're drifting higher up there. The firm, old person, that's probably something that you might be interested in, because it's for a heavy payout. But, if you're looking for hot stuff, now, they happen to had a small position in CDS. But go ahead, we'll back to you, Larry.
Well, I mean, the bid that expired, I mean, I made like over $500, which is outstanding at the time. I could have made more than that. I probably could have made around 800. But again, like, because of, my job, I can't really sit there and do trading like that. I would like to. Because otherwise I just would have watched it and then sold when I thought it for that day.
What does CDMA do?
They are also a biotech company. If you go to Google Finance and look at.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I think they do lab stuff.
Yeah.
They do diagnostics and on the molecular level to see if the drugs, the body's rejecting the drugs or reacting it poorly.
So, like whenever you get a transplant, they are doing tests to see whether or not your body's rejecting that transplant, all of that. So they kind of go through that. So yeah. Anyway.
This is definitely taken to rather than a cancer producing company that like cancer remedy company. This is more of a more stable.
Right. So that's all I'm investing. I told you about Iowa, CD, and Ritter. Those are the three things I'm playing around with right now. I do have a question for the collective though, because I am looking for different trading platforms to use. Because right now I have Option Express, and so I'm curious as to what other platforms people are using and which ones allow you a lot more freedom to kind of choose how you want to execute your trades and all that. And is anyone investing in or using any platforms that require you to automate your trades and kind of close things in and leave it?
So
I have traded some options in the past. I don't do a lot of it, but I have done it. But I do more stocking.
Are you looking at some type of quant level of trading where you actually program something and then automate it?
I'm just curious if anyone.
Okay, so I do that in TD Ameritrade. They provide this API.
Okay.
And then I basically do the API call in MATLAB. So all of that you have to write it yourself though. It's not like something. Yeah. So you call TD Ameritrade, you ask for the API development team, they give you a token, and that's the token that you're gonna direct the traffic, API traffic to see how much query you can request per minute or second. And after that, it's all up to you. You can use that API in C, in MATLAB, in any other language, as long as it supports it. Then you should be able to do that level coding.
Okay.
But I will, I have things working, but I don't let them loose, because if you have something that goes wrong, you could be doing so many transactions per minute that you'd be paying so much transaction fee. Because I did a day trading algorithm. Essentially, I was making money, but I was paying just about the same in transaction fee. So I was basically helping them making money. So I stopped doing day trading with that. Yeah.
What else is on? Anyone else is doing? Are they investing in?
I will also add, if your game is up there, there's what's called interactive brokerage, which is tough. They're a tough.
I have looked into them before. I am going to consider them at some point. Yeah, I know that's what got me when I first was trying to get into.
They're a tough outfit. If you make a mistake or whatnot, there's no right away. They want to protect themselves, and the losses are yours.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. So that's the problem when you go with interactive brokerage. It's a powerful shop and all that, but the losses are yours. I'm not cool with it, and at least.
With a Merrill Edge, you get 32 trades a month.
Now, those are stock only or options included? No, at least stock this
All right, so is that it then for right now?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Anyone else want to share their last one? I'm just curious.
I use Schwab.
Researching. Schwab, yeah, my account is actually going to transition to Schwab soon here. That option is pressed if you're going by.
Schwab, I like. If you call them, they're very knowledgeable. Actually, very knowledgeable. I like calling them all the time, just to be like, "Hey, what do you guys think of this?" And they're pretty bright guys that answer the phone. And then they do have that your ETF type platform where they're using the analytics and algorithms, and yeah, and then you can do everything. And they have a lot of educational materials on their sites.
Yeah, there's another one too, they mentioned, I would say tips, which they mentioned, is Robinhood. Yeah, on the phone, Robinhood. And I don't think there's any cost. It's free trade. Yeah, free trade.
But it costs you money to take money out.
So,
It costs you money to take the money out of the system. So it's okay to put it in, you know.
oh.
Yeah, it's not your money anymore.
That's like the gambling website. That's how they work. Free to put it in.
Okay, is that it then for you?
Just one other thing. I think I read something on CNBC.com that talks about a company called Rabble, where it allows, and I think it just recently was not in July timeframe, and it allows ordinary folks to get into venture capitalism. And so we can basically crowd
Crowdfunding.
any businesses out there who need the money to get going. So I was wondering, anybody else heard anything about this particular company?
Rabble?
Rabble, Rabble, and I was wondering if anyone else is considering like making investments. You can make investments as small as $100. So I was wondering if anyone's thinking about getting into that at all. I mean, it'll take a while to get your money back, because these companies starting off, so it's gonna be like a couple years at minimum. Could be more than that.
Yeah, they're called SPACs, and a lot of them have gone public this year. There's been like 18 or 20, which is way more than usual, and one went public last week. It's like special purpose acquisition companies, and basically they trade like stocks, and then they use that money to make investments in private technology companies. So that's sort of where the VC play comes in. So to your point, it takes a long time to make money off these, but it's sort of like having ownership as a VC would through an equity vehicle. They're pretty cool, but there's not that many of them out there. But
Do they give good information about the company?
So no, they don't tell you what they're investing in, which obviously you're betting on the management team, which that's what they tell you, right? So there's one that went public last week, and their ticker symbol is IPOAU, and it's managed by this guy. He's got a really long name. His name is like Chamath Palahapitiya or something.
It's usually a good sign that he knows it.
Yeah.
It took him that long to spell his name as a kid.
He was Facebook's first VP of user growth and mobile growth. Obviously, became a billionaire from Facebook, and now he's a venture capitalist. And he took one of these SPACs public last week. So when they asked him on CNBC, what are we really buying? He said, "You're buying my management team." You know what I mean? So in the S1, it didn't really say what they're going to buy, and since they have only been public for a week, they haven't had a file since then. So like in their 10Q, I don't know if it's going to say what they've invested in, but I would think not.
But is there like a website or a source where you can actually research some of these startup companies? And because I guess Rabble allows you to invest in them, but is there something where you can actually research what they're doing? And
most of these companies are private, and therefore they're not obligated to report to anybody
Yeah,
other than the investors.
I read Term Sheet every morning, which is a newsletter that Fortune Magazine publishes, and it has all of the VC and private equity deals from the day prior. So you know all of the companies that have raised capital all over the world. It's not just U.S. companies. so you can get a feel of like what sectors have been raising the most money privately, and you know which venture capital firms have been the most active. So it's like helpful in that regard. But just in terms of like civilians like us trying to make money in a backdoor channel, I think you have to go through these like stacks, or there are other vehicles, but to me they seem a little. They just don't really seem worth it, because you're not going to get the same return that they do. Because it's not like when they make an investment, they're buying 5-10% of something, and then we're buying a percentage of that percentage through the stack. So it's like, I don't feel like there's that much money to be.
No, I agree with you. I would just like to read about some of these startups.
That's what I only do the reading. I would recommend subscribing to Term Sheet. It's free.
Check it out.
It's every morning. It comes in your inbox at 10:30, and it has all the companies that have raised money, and it's pretty cool because sometimes they're like Washington D.C. companies, and it's like some companies you've never heard of, and then just raise a monster amount.
Okay, is that it for you, Nick?
Now that's it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, next week, we're getting down to the wire, so,
I might be in the wrong class, I was trying to learn. I was in the wrong class.
Okay.
Go ahead, without.
okay.
Just to the rock.
Then the next gentleman there.
Oh, my name is Willie. We read about world of media. When I come in and learn, expand my knowledge.
I mean, that's what we want, a variety of people. All right, then, I guess Wei, or?
Oh, you already won?
I already
Oh, okay,
did,
yeah. So this week, I want to talk about the interest rate hike that, of course, the FOMC had their meeting this week, and then they announced they were going to wind down the balance sheet and also not change the Fed Reserve rate to the banks, basically. And then winding down the balance sheet means there's potentially some risks for the down market, just because historically, if you're winding down the balance sheet, you're trying to get rid of some of the assets that you own, and then also trying to increase the interest rate going down the road. That's basically taking liquidity out of the system, and then that can potentially, trigger a bear market. I don't know, but that's just what people think generally when they talk about winding down the balance sheet. And then there's another one, it's the Apple stock that you mentioned. I also noticed there are a lot of the companies out there. When I was traveling in Mexico, even San Francisco, a lot of people are starting to use Chinese phones like Huawei, and also some Korean phones like LG. That all of them are becoming so comparable, if not better, in terms of features compared to Apple phones. And then the new release of the iPhone 8 and X. 8 is basically, based on the review that I saw, is basically identical to iPhone 7. Right? So what's the purpose of releasing that if people can just buy the cheaper version? If not, keep their old phone. And then the 10, a lot of people are still skeptical of the features, the facial recognition for unlocking the phone, and not having a home button, and some other features that's they aren't as essentially mind blowing as people want them to be. And also they talk about the pre-order for iPhone. It wasn't as high as they anticipated, and so I would say either sell call spreads or something on that. And I also bought into Equifax, so I sold the in the money put at.
By the way, maybe you should. By the way, I'm gonna have to be leaving here, but Equifax.
Okay, yeah, that's EFX. FX. Yep. So I sold in the money put at 110, and also sold in the money put at 105. So I have, and that's how I got 300 shares of Equifax. And then I bought two calls at the strike of 90 when it was trading around like 92-ish, and I liquidated when it got to like 97, because when I'm trading short term, I'm basically just not caring about the fundamental at all. I'm just based on the market psychology, what people feel about the company. I ignore all the valuation at that point. So I did that this week, and still holding on to Orbotech. That's ORBK. And another one that I bought into is iCore. That's ICHR. Yep, that's I got in when That's like a few months ago. That they
What's ICHR do?
the iCore, they do something similar to Overtech, except they do the semiconductor side and provide the semiconductor liquid for the capital equipments. So chemicals along that line, and then their biggest I think customer is Applied Materials, and they're currently trading have positive cash flow, and you don't expect it to grow that much. It's just reached the stage where it's treated as a commodity at this point. But yeah, I just hold on to it because it generates it grows steadily. It seems to be a good place to park money if you have nothing to do with it. Don't have anything to do with it. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I just want to distinguish long term versus short term. I feel like if you're doing short term, forget about valuations. It's all about market psychology at that point. What people feel about it, that's basically what's going to dictate how the stock's going to perform. Because yeah, and then if you look at something long term, like what he's talking about, once you find a good company, look at the balance sheet, it has good moats, and then you hold on to it, then don't even worry about selling it at that point, right? Until you evaluate it maybe every quarter when the company comes out with their news on how their financially how their financial status is, and then you evaluate based on that, and don't worry about the short term. So you don't need to sit at home all day to do this kind of trade. You can actually use that time and do something else. I just my take on it. Yep.
Have you said it's AMD and Tesla?
Oh yeah, that's just a rumor. They talked about it. There's no actual contract drafted. And then so I think it's spec'd out like 8 or 9% a day after hour, not a 7%. No, I don't. Yeah, I got out when it was like 14 point something. Yeah, I got out. Yeah.
You have to go back in?
Nope, I haven't got back in. I know some of my friends still holding on to it. They've been holding on since it was 180 something. So yeah, so they think it's gonna go to like 16, 20 something, but I don't know.
AMD?
Yeah.
What's the ticker on that?
Oh, that's AMD.
AMD? A-M? Michael?
M as in Michael.
D. David.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, I think I got out AMD to get in Intel, and then my price target for Intel based off just the a linear projection of their revenue growth. My price target for Intel at the end of the year was 37. So by the time I reached 37, I was already cashed out of Intel. So I don't hold either AMD or Intel. Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, sir.
David, I've been once before, second time. Yeah, I'm trying to develop a strategy with my investing. I'm really looking at a lot of like the long-term plays, whether it's in biotech, AI, autonomous vehicles, and sort of bigger companies in global markets. I have looked at Tencent, you had mentioned. I wish I would have bought it a year ago, but I still think it is a company that can continue to grow. And I had mentioned last time I was here that I was buying NTLA and Edit, which are gene editing, or they edit, they're able to edit genes using technology called CRISPR for, it's like biotech, and it's to try. It's a NTLA, and then Edit, EDIT, and they do the same thing. They're using the same CRISPR technology, and it's continued to go up. So, but yeah, and then also I am worried about other things you talked about, with the increase in the interest rates and.
North Korea stuff.
Yeah, I think obviously there's going to have to be some sort of correction in the market at some point. It's just,
But what does it say about that? What does it tell you when the Fed wants to buy back? I'm not going to sell the opposite of what the Fed says the economy is strong and the economy looks to improve. That's why interest rates going up the first 6 months or so means that the economy is strong and it will improve. Most hurricanes they are fortunate eventually. They create billions of dollars of economic stimulus.
because I'm not selling everything, but I am weird.
But having said that, Historically, the second year after the election, 2018,
Yeah.
Well, I am holding on to about 50% of my capital. So.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way, that if you look at just the
Money
trend
market,
in
which is nothing.
the market, it's about a 10-year cycle around, and so we're pretty much hitting that 10-year point, and so that's really what I'm going on that historical. It's like, so it might not be this year, but it might be the next year. So there is some sort of correction that I think everything is overvalued.
Sure. One thing to say about this is the P ratios and valuations are what they were in 2007 and not what they were in 1999. And you look at the rate growth, also since the Great Recession, it's been 2% or less GDP. These people are complaining up and down, oh, GDP is so sluggish. No, what's that? Warren Buffett loves it. 2% consistently avoid recession, essentially, because otherwise you have 4% up.
Yeah, do you know?
Well, and I agree with you in that it is a slow. We used to have like a depression and then a huge spike back. I agree with you that when there is a recession, it has been trending a little slower, and I think that's because we don't have a manufacturing industry to bounce us right back up. So it might delay the correction, but. Yeah, because there has been a slower growth.
You also see it globally. It's globally in Europe and in Asia.
Yeah.
For the British they buy our products. That's not general stability.
Yeah, I mean, generally, the way I'm viewing it, it's the GDP report is all BS. That's just how I feel like, because in my opinion, the government is trying to stimulate the economy and drive out the GDP by as much as they can. And what I noticed that there are so many BS jobs out there, like they shouldn't exist. In my opinion, like somebody that gets in an office, you ask, oh, what do I do? Oh, I just print this thing and then fill out the form. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like a lot of the jobs are just there to fill the gap on the GDP. It doesn't really create any value in terms of the economy growth for the long term. It's not beneficial at all. But as for the interest rate increase, right? Because by increasing interest rate, that means the banks will be able to recruit more money back, and then the Fed will get more money back. So you're basically taking money out of the system. And by doing that, it's basically causing the things to become, there's going to be deflation the way I see it. Because if there's less money out in the system, this computer is traditional cost $1,000, less money in the system. That means instead of 1,000, maybe it's going to be worth 800, but that $800 is going to be worth more. It can buy you more stuff than what you previously can buy. And therefore, there's a problem with the Fed is trying to balance the inflation with the amount of interest rate they're trying to increase, right? So since the inflation rate is so low and they don't know how exactly to balance that, they have problem trying to increase the interest rate. So there might not actually be that many interest rate hikes. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll just all move on to cryptocurrency and then we don't have to worry about it.
Well, the Fed's goal is 3%.
Yeah, and we're like so far way off from it. Like, I think it's like 1 point something.
You're supposed to raise it once in December, 3 times in 2018. I think twice in 19 and once in 20 is what they're predicting. To get to that 3% new normal.
I don't know how it's gonna go, but yep, I'm just keeping. Cash is also a way of investing. So, yep.
Thank you. Wait.
No.
Oh yeah.
I sold my Ford, 776.
Ford?
Yeah. That's not where I bought it at. My cost basis was probably below that. Probably sold options on it. I thought it would probably have a retracement from your from graph. I also sold TAN, solar ETF, and basically broke even on that one. I turned around, sold puts on it, sold didn't strike it. The call was rated 22, I sold 22 puts. I'm trying to take a lot of premium there on it. And it's above 22. So it probably doesn't have weekly, it has monthly, you have to wait too long. There's an option to expire. I'm still short the SPY.
Buying puts?
No, I'm just short the index.
Oh, you're shorting it.
SPY share.
Oh wow. Since when?
A long time back.
Really? Oh.
Since the election.
Oh man.
That's what hurt.
Yeah, you're in the world hurt.
Yeah, it hurts, but I've got other things.
Until you're right. Then
Other things to help. My bill was probably not that bad.
Right, is that
Is
right?
Okay.
And this concludes this week's live stream. Thank you for listening.